19 Checkpoint Chat. My name is Alessandro Barbosa. I'm joined by technologically challenged Matty Figueroa this morning.
This has been a morning, let me tell you. We were 45 minutes to an hour late on our normal recording because, as per usual, my microphone just decided, you know what? I'm just going to be an asshole today.
Today I'm going to crap the bed.
So let's just walk you through our new process here. Okay, so we're recording through. So what we normally do is record through a program called Audacity. We both record our own audio tracks, and then Alessandro overlaps them, and then bam, podcasts. Now though,
yes, I hit the podcast button on Audacity, and it does.
There
stuff.
it is. Through the power of the internet, we are recording online somehow, and I've got. Let me tell you, I've got the soundbar side by side. And my Audacity is like whisper quiet. I don't know why. It looks like I'm flatlining, but I'm not. And then the online bars look healthy and green and magical.
Yeah, listen, I don't know. My Audacity is pretty soft as well. I don't know if Audacity had like an update or whatever, but yours is like even softer than mine. So I have no idea what's going on your neck of the woods there.
It's this microphone. This microphone just sometimes is like, hey man, I don't see eye to eye with you anymore.
I do feel bad though, because ever since we've had to start recording remotely, you know, I always had the hardware at my house, and it's like shared hardware. So I've been using the mixing board, which is fantastic. It's great. Works. And you are at the mercy of a USB connection to...
I have a USB cable that just at the moment...
Yeah, it's just mercy, not loving you. So yeah, we're recording through Discord with a very cute little plugin with an otter called Craig, which is just a backup. If you're listening to this, you won't know which we ended up using because I'll only decide at the end of this podcast. So
I know, but yeah, you could send us your guesses though. There's no prizes, but you'll sleep better at night knowing you either guessed right or
actually
wrong.
Interested to know to see if people can tell a difference. Like, the audio quality is different.
Well, it'll be interesting for you when you edit. You're like, actually, doing the whole online thing actually produces better results. Skynet, they've blessed us with AI.
I mean, listen. If it's just as good, then we do it always as a backup, because we've been saying for so many episodes now that one day we are just going to lose this fucking recording.
We're 119 episodes in, and we've not yet lost the recording. You're gonna keep the streak going.
We lost the very first one we did.
The very first one. Yeah, well, that's like 190.
That we never ever put out because I spent 3 hours trying to salvage that thing and drove me mad. I still remember the frustrations of trying to edit that thing, man.
Well, if you go back and listen to our current episode 1, we've come a long way, I'd like to think. So
in terms of audio quality,
we should actually record a new trailer one day, because good lord, people arrive at that trailer go, what's this checkpoint? This quality is so awful.
and what's annoying about that is, like, we weren't using a bad microphone. We're using a Blue Yeti, which is a phenomenal microphone. It's just my room must be the worst room in existence for that microphone, because it's just hard walls and hard wooden floor, so it picks up echoes everywhere. It is so bad.
Oh my gosh.
And I've looked at like getting like soundproofing not soundproofing, just like audio treatment in the room, and I'd have to put so much everywhere just because of the wooden floors. It's like
you've watched TR, right? Dota 2 International. We need one of those booths in your room just for podcasting. It's like soundproof booths. Listen, it's been a morning, but you know what? We're here. We're going to talk about all the good things, and
all the good things. It's been a rough week. I haven't played as many games. Oh, you know, let's just get into it. Let's check my chat. We talk about video games.
Talk about stuff sometimes when our microphones let us.
I'll go quickly because I haven't played much else different.
Cool. Tell me about Hades, you addict.
You're playing more Hades. Oh my god, I finally beat it. I finally got it clear.
Can I just tell you, I log onto my Switch and then it's a ping. You've got friends online. Go to Alessandro Hades. I'm like,
dude,
I wonder how many hours this man has played on Hades. Click on your
really
profile.
Want to check.
35 hours. I'm like,
is that what it said?
Yeah, you've had this game for like what, 10 days-ish?
Holy shit, has it really been 35 hours? Wow.
I have my Switch right here. I'll tell you right this second. I'll confirm.
I wonder if it's counting when it's in the background on standby, because it doesn't feel like. I mean, it could be 35 hours.
I mean, look, if you play like 2-3 hours a day.
I mean, wait, when I think about it, each of my runs is around like 40 minutes, and I've gone through about 44 runs, and that's just counting the run itself. It's not counting conversing with characters in between and stuff like that. So
it says 35 hours or more.
Yeah,
tell me about Hades.
That actually, now when I do the math on how many runs I've done, that sounds pretty accurate.
So, but you finished it now. First run.
Yeah, first run. I'm still playing it, obviously, because So, okay, I'm gonna talk about this without spoiling even who the last boss is, because I feel like
I'm playing this next week, so don't spoil it.
I feel like it's easy to predict, but I still don't want to spoil. But anyway, so what I like a lot about Hades, and even more so now that I've completed a run of it, is just how the story adapts to the structure of the game. So like, even though I've escaped hell, essentially,
spoilers,
that is the end goal of this game. It's like escaping hell. The story has found a way to make my runs afterwards, like, why am I escaping hell again? It's made sense. Like,
okay, so it contextualizes it.
Yes, everything in this game is contextualized in a way that I think really sets like a new bar for how roguelikes should incorporate story, because like so many roguelikes just don't have story or have a very thin layer of, what's happening. So
yeah,
I mean, Spelunky has a lot of secrets to discover. There's not necessarily like a big narrative through line, but there's a lot of small things that interconnect, and there's like lore. It's almost like a Bloodborne situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's like things to pick up and connect to each other. So that, from that perspective, it has a sort of like story. But if I look at like Dead Cells has lore, but it's not that interesting. I didn't find it that interesting.
I mean, Dead Cells was a thing of like, you start a new run, you maybe see like a new dead body, and you read it, and it's like, oh, here's a note left behind. But then like 5 runs later, you see that exact same note, and eventually start seeing the same stuff over and over again. So I completely understand what you mean.
It has some flourishes where it's like, oh, there's a big pile of bodies that look like me. Oh, right. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, that's cute.
Sure. Yeah, but it doesn't have like an actual through line. Yeah. It feels like,
Yeah, not a story like this where the characters themselves are reacting to each of your deaths. So that's really what has kept me going in Hades, is like, you'll fight a boss, and whether you beat them or die to them, their dialogue when you see them back in like the hub world at the end will change depending on that. I don't know if I spoke about this last week, but there's even a situation where one of the bosses will like complain that you are getting past them more easily because of the upgrades that you get.
Yeah, you mentioned last week, and then someone on Twitter, like undid all the upgrades.
If they reset it, then they react to that. Like stuff like that. And based on your conversations with characters, like each character has like a codex entry. So the more you talk to them, the more of their codex unlocks. And it starts tying into the game's like unlock structure. So I've had many conversations, because I've died so many times, with Achilles, who is your like your like mentor. Yeah, your heel, definitely. And through all the conversations with him, he's unlocked a new like a sort of facet for one of the weapons. So there's 6 weapons, but each of the weapons have different forms. So some forms you can purchase, like you use a resource to unlock their different form, and some are locked according to the story. So I just unlocked one for the spear because I had X number of conversations with Achilles.
Okay, that's quite cool.
And I've read through the wiki. There are actual like narrative objectives to complete, based on like how many times you interact with characters and items that you give them. Like you can actually progress each individual character's story in some way. So there's a lot to do with Hades that isn't just about the run, which gives you a lot to do between the runs, which I think helps a lot of people don't like roguelikes because of the monotony. And I understand that. But this is like, okay, cool, I just got destroyed in this run, so I'm going to chill out and chat to Hades or Cerberus or Achilles and upgrade my weapons and, figure out, what my next run is going to be. Am I going to focus on this resource or this resource so I can progress conversations when I get back, or am I going to focus just on damage to actually try get to the end? You can prioritize runs differently. It's not just about trying to get to the end all the time. So
that's cool.
It really is just a phenomenal game. Like I think ever since I've bought it, I've played at least 2 runs every night at the very least.
Yeah.
And on Wednesday I was sick and I just spent the whole day playing Hades. I can't remember the last time I actually flattened my Switch battery multiple times in a day. Like I'd play, the battery would go flat, I'd put it on charge and just play a bit on the TV and wait, and then unplug it and then play again. And
I thought that conversation was going somewhere else. Like I can't remember the last time I flattened my Switch. It's like, what?
I stepped on it. It's really good. I've cleared it once and I'm up against the wall in terms of I've pretty much maxed out all the upgrades I can get, and the game is still killing me.
Oh, wow.
And now there's still... So when you beat it, you can then add modifiers to each of your runs to make each run harder, and those correspond to new rewards based on the weapons that you use.
Okay. So it's incentive to keep playing, basically.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. You can you've got sliders that are make enemies harder, or make each room have 50% more enemies, or this and that, and each one adds what they call heat to your run, and you can go up to different levels of heat, and based on your heat level you'll get specific rewards.
Okay.
So it incentivizes me to play, but also there's a story component to play. There's apparently the quote unquote end of the game only comes after you've cleared it 10 times.
I know.
So
why are you telling me this? This game's gonna consume me.
I'm trying to get my second clear, and I've come so close so many times with different weapons, but I found out something completely new also during another run. I didn't realize there was a secret boss that I didn't know about.
Oh wow.
And I was having such a great run, then discovered him and he completely killed me, and I was just like, fuck. I was so ready to have this as my second clear, and then this thing derailed me. But there's so much to uncover in this game. So much great story, so much great writing, and I mean, I haven't even heard repeated voice lines.
Which is insane.
There. I keep going back and seeing conversations between characters, and they're all unique. It's really, to me, there must be a ceiling, but I haven't found it yet. It's phenomenal. I can't.
That's 35 hours you played.
Yeah, this is up there on my Game of the Year list, easily.
That's what I've seen, all over Twitter, and even from some of my own friends who've played the game. I can tell you, Cello, for example, he's playing the game and he says it's his Game of the Year, hands down. He's also just been consumed by it, and I think he said he's played about 40 hours as well. Jeez. I mean, to me, the fact that this game came out that long. I mean, look, you could easily put that sort of time away into a game over a weekend and a bit, if you really play a lot. But I know for someone like you, for example, who you've got a very busy day and you do a whole lot of other shit on the side, to rack up 35 hours in 10 days.
I didn't realize I'd done that.
You've clearly been consumed by this game, and I can so relate, because that's exactly the sort of numbers I was doing on Dead Cells when. I mean, you'll remember when that game came out, I just played it the same sort of thing. Every night
ages,
I was just doing 2 or 3 runs for a long time. And it's funny because Hades, I know, is a game I'll enjoy. Hands down, I know I'll definitely enjoy it. But I was planning on just getting to it at some stage. When I've got maybe nothing pressing to play, but I was I actually can't put it off. I need to play it. So I'm going to be streaming it next week, and I'm very excited to jump into it.
Did you pick it up on PC?
I'm gonna pick it up on PC. It's also a little bit cheaper there, which is it's not expensive on Switch. It's 350 rand, which is nothing for a brand new game.
But I think it's 120 on Steam.
It's it's either 120 on Steam or $8 or $9 on Epic. It's insane that a game that's this good, that people have been raving about, can be that cheap, and it's brand new. So
I am waiting because I've got it on PC as well, but they are still in the process of rolling out cross saves. So when that happens,
that'll be cool.
then
then
I can just transfer. If I'm at home, I'll hook up my PC to my TV and play it in there, and then have it on the Switch on the go, which is like perfect. So, but I definitely think either or works. I've been playing obviously on Switch with a controller. I remember trying it out with a keyboard and mouse on PC and did not like it.
No, I think a game like that, it's like I'll play it on PC with a controller.
Yeah.
It's a sort of game,
I mean, it's like an isometric view and you're moving, darting around everywhere. So
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm very keen to jump into that.
It's properly good. It's also just a gorgeous game, like beautiful to look at, amazing character portraits. It's just, it hits all the right notes on, everywhere. Incredible music. I mean, you've played Supergiant games in the past, and Darren Korb is
great.
Yeah, Darren Korb is the voice of the main character in this game. Did not know that.
Yeah, we spoke about that last week. That's wild. Yeah. It's like, hey, I'm just going to make the soundtrack wild. And then go do some voice line.
And then Logan Cunningham, he was the narrator in Bastion. He was the voice of the sword in Transistor. He's been around. He voices 6 characters in Hades. He voices Hades, Charon, I think Achilles as well, Thanatos. Yeah, like, and like every voice sounds distinct. It's seriously.
Who voices Kratos?
There's no Kratos, unfortunately.
Let me tell you, I don't want it spoiled if it exists, but if there's no Kratos Easter egg in this game, I'm going to be severely disappointed.
Man, I haven't seen one, but I mean, there's Ares, so there is the god of war.
Yeah, the god of war. So,
and he is. All these gods are so attractive. Every single one of them. Unbelievable.
Greek mythology, man.
Man, like Ares is like, man, and then Aphrodite is like, damn, and my favorite is what's his name? Starts with a D. Dionymus? He's like the god of partying, essentially. He's like his little icon is like a cup of wine, and he's just the way he talks is so laid back. He's like your name is Zagreus, but he calls you Zag. He's like, hey Zag, man, when you get up here, we're gonna have a party of epic proportions. It's like, okay,
sounds good.
And then when you reject him, then he like gets really like touched and angry. Like, yeah, it's very fun.
Do you get like dialogue options in the game?
So no, there's certain points. Like every room has a reward. So it will either be like a currency or coins for the run, or it will be what they call boons, which are like gifts from the gods. So, but there are some rooms where there will be 2. So 2 boons from the gods. So you choose one, and then
so it's like rejecting the other.
You reject the other one, so it makes that combat encounter harder, because then that god like if you reject Zeus, for example, then he'll send lightning bolts down while you're trying to kill the enemies. But then at the end, you get a boon from Zeus as well. So those rooms are a big risk reward, because you'll get 2 boons, but it will be harder. So it's like I've seriously fucked up entire runs by getting greedy, because like I will be in the second last world, there will be that situation, and I will lose like all of my life or all of my revives doing that room just to get and I'll be like, why did I do this? Like,
why am I like this?
Yeah, I still make dumb mistakes like that. But yeah, what a game! Just seriously,
I'm very
phenomenal game.
I mean, and just on that, the whole game of the year conversation, I don't think we all knew Hades would be a solid game. I mean, it's been in early access for about a year or 2 years. People have been enjoying it. But I think the fact that it came out and it's just all of a sudden out of nowhere on many people's game of the year list conversations is just, it's wild. Like completely unexpected, I think.
I think what's interesting is I was listening to Giant Bomb this week, and Jeff Gertzman was like, the thing that struck him about Hades and, it being blown up now is like, it's always been this good. Like, that's the thing. From day one, it's felt good. It's had good combat. Those aren't things that change over development. They just kind of added content to it. So it's like people who've been playing it in early access have kind of been like beating this drum like, hey, Hades is fucking incredible. But now that it's out and everyone's playing, because that's what I bought it at early access, but I buy so many games at early access, play them for a bit and go, okay, yeah, I'm going to wait for 1.0. And that's what I did, and I'm so glad I did.
That's the same as Grounded, for example. Like, we both played a couple of hours. We thought, shit, this game is really awesome, but we're going to wait for them to actually just, flesh out the rest of it before we get back to it.
Because Grounded, it's like, I like this idea. There's something here, but I want to like sink my teeth into it properly. Yeah. So that's exactly what I did, and Yeah, I'm kind of glad that Hades is getting all this attention because I feel like Supergiant has made successful games. Like they're definitely an indie studio that if you are in the know of, the gaming industry, you know who they are and you know what games they make. Yeah. And I think their very first game, Bastion, kind of came out at the right time with, Xbox Live Arcade where a lot of people played it. But I think their two games after that, even though I particularly like them, Transistor Empire, were very niche. This to me is like their mainstream hit.
It's mainstream. I mean, it's funny because I haven't played Pyre and I've played a bit of Bastion, but I played Transistor maybe, like I haven't even finished it, but I was maybe like 80% of the way through it. And the games are great. Like they make good games, but it does feel, I agree with you, like Transistor, for example, I know very few people who actually played it, despite it being this fantastic game. And I do think that Hades, all over Twitter, that's my echo chamber. It feels like everyone's playing it. And there's a reason why I'm like, well, I actually can't wait. I want to play it now to be part of the conversation. Like, no one's going to water coolers, depending on what offers she had. But I'd love to have the conversation with you or my friends. Be like, oh, hey, I did a run yesterday. This happened to me. I don't want to wait a few months because then like that conversation's gone.
I kind of want you to do it because we play games differently, and like you're the sort of person that when you talk about games like this, you talk about mechanics, min-maxing in a way that I don't even think about. So like, I'm really curious to hear about like runs that you did and what builds you came across, because that's sort of like whenever I see someone share their clear on Twitter, I'm looking at what boons they got and how they're combining. Because there's so many variations. It's so fascinating to see. So yeah, I'm keen to chat to you about this game. Yeah,
we'll talk about it. Look, I'm obviously not going to finish it by the next podcast, but I'll definitely be able to touch on it.
You're pretty good.
No, I think games like this are inherently structured. Like no matter how good you are, there's still some sort of grinding that has to happen before you can actually, finish the game.
Definitely.
Unless you're a speedrunner and you're mad and you just know the game's loopholes.
Or you're just mad good. Yeah, exactly.
Just incredible. I don't know. But that's Hades. I'm very excited to play that.
Yeah, Hades is good. Other two games that I've just briefly touched. I bought Splunky 2 now that it's on PC. It was like $140 on Steam. So I played like one or two runs. I'm still really bad at Splunky, but I cannot wait to play more of that game because that is a game more than anything where it's like, it's not about permanent upgrades because there aren't any. It's about learning the visual language of that game. Yeah. Like understanding how that game works. And then I've played like just the intro to Crash Bandicoot 4. We got code earlier this week, but I haven't had a chance to play. So the reviews have been like way better than I ever expected. A lot of friends of mine at GameSpot saying this is the best Crash game they've ever played, and I'm just like, whoa. Well, whoa, be still my beating heart.
We're in silly season now because, we'll get to what I'm playing at the moment, but it is a thing of like, shit, I just wish I had more time because I do want to play Hades, and I know Star Wars Squadron is out, and I don't know if...
I also want to play that.
For that? I don't actually know. No, but like, it's a game I'd like to play. Crash Bandicoot 4 is like, I'm not as big a Crash fan as you, but the fact that it's a platformer and it's reviewing well, I'm like, of course I'm going to play that and probably enjoy it. There's just too many games, man. Like I'm still, what else are you playing? You've just touched on those.
Yeah, so Crash Bandicoot was just a little bit, reviews say it's around like 10 to 12 hours. And I think the biggest praise I saw for it is like, this could have come out straight after Crash Bandicoot 3 and felt both new and in line with where that series was going. So for it to be like nearly 2 decades later and to, hit the right balance between feeling modern, but also
keeping that charm
keeping the feel of the series while also not feeling like a PlayStation 1 game, you know what I mean? That is, that sounds easy. That is not easy. You can ask every other Crash Bandicoot game for the past 10 years about how it struggled to hit that bar.
Like, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, like, listen, I've enjoyed some of the Activision, this is an Activision Crash Bandicoot, but some of their attempts at trying to revitalize the series, and I've liked some of them, but I've never liked any of them anywhere close to the original trilogy. So,
well, I don't think this was Activision, but just on that, another game I still need to go back and play is the Tony Hawk remake.
Yeah,
I've
same.
played that a couple of hours, thought, holy shit, this is amazing, and then just never went back to it because I'm like, it's a sort of game I can just jump back into at any time.
Yeah.
There's
Kind
too
of
many,
actually happy
too
Activision is letting their
many
devs
damn
do
games
this.
year.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah, there's so many good
2020
games.
is shaped up to be, I mean, in March, we had the conversation plenty, like, oh shit, like what happens with games this year? Like we've got Cyberpunk's still coming, for crying out loud.
My God.
But it is like, what? Well, besides Cyberpunk, like what games are coming out this year? It's looking a bit barren, but looking back now, I'm like, holy shit, this has been a pretty standout year for games already. And like, we're still getting into the big releases, which is kind of terrifying. So
yep, there's still so much to come. It's exciting. I'm really enjoying this period of games, and it's going to get. I mean, we are 5 weeks away from new consoles. It's silly season.
We've got Demon Souls coming out, and that is just
Demon Souls. Well, not 5 weeks away. Sorry, I lied.
I think it's like 6 or 7.
10th of November is Xbox, and then 19th. I keep thinking we're also on the 12th for PlayStation 5, but we're the week later. So,
and I mean, Cyberpunk's out in November, and I don't know. That's it's going to be wild.
Cyberpunk, Demon Souls, Spider-Man.
Oh my God, it's too much.
Dirt 5, which I'm excited for. Yakuza Like a Dragon.
For those of you who can't see, I'm just shaking my head.
That's just November. That's just within like 2 weeks of November. There's all those games.
I don't want to. Yeah. I'm just going to call in sick for the next month.
Oh God, I wish.
Got the black line.
What have you been playing?
So I'll touch very briefly on what I've been doing. So I finished, Super Mario 64. I rolled credits on it.
Shit.
But I haven't got all the stars because there are plenty to get. But I did get 71 out of the 120 stars.
Oh, damn.
And I'm not going to go into too much detail because I think I did cover it plenty last week. But just to recap, the game is very rough by modern standards. Like the camera is an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
But
that's what I've heard.
Other than that, the game, it's like if I had to put myself into the shoes of any gamer in the mid-90s playing that game. Put yourself in your shoes. You've just been born, okay? Somebody hands you the Nintendo 64.
Damn, I have shoes. I must have real tiny shoes.
God. Yeah, you got real tiny shoes. You play this game and your mind is blown by the fact that you're playing Mario in a 3D environment. Mm-hmm. And not just the fact, like the 3D environments, like I said, they're not explicitly detailed. I mean, the Nintendo 64 had limitations with space and whatnot.
I think at the time, though, there must have been like, oh my God, a 3D chain chomp.
A 3D chain chomp. Oh, there's a platform over there. How do I get there? Like, there's just that signature Nintendo charm there in the 3D realm. And it's very creative. Like, you can see it. They pushed Mario into, a whole new era of gaming. And I think, like we said, that inspired a whole lot of other 3D platforms. Like, Crash came out more or less the same time. But like you pointed out, Crash is very linear. Like, you get from A to B in the level, whereas Mario is, there's stars in this level. You can choose how to get them. Like, there is a way. It's
kind of interesting that they came out at the same time and had completely different approaches to what a 3D platformer was,
But so I've got a bunch of stars. I will go back maybe to get some of the other ones, because I think some of the stars are like, not even going to bother. But I'm actually quite amazed by how much that game just consumed me. It was like, the way you were playing Hades, I was probably playing Mario 64, because getting a star takes like 5-10 minutes. Think of the moons in Odyssey. It's like that. It's so quick. It's like,
it's that thing. It's like, I'll get one more. I'll get one more. Yeah.
And it really was. I lost full evenings, like 1-2 in the morning. I'm like, oh my God, I've got to go to bed. I can't do this. But on that collection, obviously we have Super Mario Sunshine and Super Mario Galaxy. I've moved on to Sunshine now, which is the GameCube Mario. And
messing with that Fludd.
It's messing with that Fludd. And let me tell you, it's so weird playing this Mario game, having played all the other Marios before, because Mario's got like you've said, Fludd. He's got this gadget called Fludd, which basically is just a backpack that shoots water. And that's the game's primary mechanic.
It's a backpack that talks to you, doesn't it?
It talks to you, yeah. It's actually quite funny. But the game is built on this backpack and the mechanics in that to kill most enemies, so like as a dumb example, some enemies are on fire Okay, they're like burning. You have to douse them out before you can jump on them with your Fludd.
My God, the poor Goomba. It's like,
the poor
help me, I'm on fire. Oh, thanks,
like,
man. And then you just jump on them.
Stop in its face.
Yes, this Mario is such an asshole.
But it's cool because it opens up a different level of platforming that I haven't really seen in other Mario games. So, for example, with the Fludd device, you can hover for a short amount of time. So like that opens up like a jetpack. Yeah, so you can't shoot up with it. Well, you actually can with some attachments, but if you see a platform that's pretty far away, you can jump and then hover there. Okay. So it introduces mechanics like that, which to me feels fresh from any other Mario game I've played. But yeah, I've only got like 15 stars, and I think there's also 120, so it's still very early days.
Is it also structured sort of like Mario 64, where you've got little like biomes to...
Yeah, so you've got your main hub. So in Mario 64, it was Peach's Castle. In Mario Sunshine, you're basically on a holiday resort, and there's just little levels everywhere. And like Mario 64, there are a bunch of stars hidden within each level. But like Mario 64, I think it was, you can get 6 stars per level, if I'm not mistaken. I played a level, so what happens is you get a star, you get kicked out to the hub world, and you have to go back into the level, basically, to pick up another star. So I did that with one level, and I have 10 stars from one level. So I'm like, do all of them have 10 stars, or is it just this particular level that they've like remixed and done a whole lot of weird, mechanics within this level? But yeah, I'm enjoying it, and I'm gonna keep playing it. It's just
that's cool.
It's just scratching that good old Mario itch of like one more star. Let me
that
just
little
do this level.
Clip of the reflections was pretty impressive.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, I shared a clip on Twitter this week of there's one mechanic in the game where you have to basically redirect mirrors, and the mirrors are reflecting
classic video game trope.
Yeah, but they are reflecting in a way where I joked as like, games in 2020 are all about these reflections, but Mario's been doing this since 2005.
It legit looks like ray tracing almost,
It's like really impressive that was done on the GameCube. And we spoke about like, how do they do that? I mean, there's clearly some clever trick, but it looks really good.
I had a friend of mine, Heinrich, who used to work with me. Well, he still works at 24-bit games. I don't, obviously. But he, I don't know if he chatted with a mutual friend of ours, Gareth Gaza.
Yeah.
I don't know if he chatted with him, but he suggested that what they did there was that surface isn't reflective. It's just another camera. Yeah, so it's a camera pointing upwards and then showing, which when I look at it now, I'm like, yeah, that's definitely what's happening.
But I mean, if you're just a normal gamer just playing the game, I can tell you probably saw that on your GameCube and went, holy shit, this is the future of gaming. Because it looks really good, But yeah, so I'm going to finish that up and then move on to the best Mario game, Mario Galaxy.
That's the one I am
you have to
itching to play.
If you enjoyed Odyssey, like Galaxy,
I feel like I need to play that on like a TV though, because I don't know how the motion works.
I don't know either. So I've played Galaxy on the Wii, and it relies not heavily, but it relies on the Wiimotes and the player pointing at the screen to collect starbits. And like, for example, if you shook the controller, Mario would spin. Like, that's one of his moves. So I don't know if they've just mapped that to a Switch button. They must have. But like, I don't know how you go about collecting starbits. Like, do you get a cursor on the screen? Like, I don't know what the mechanic is. So I'm quite curious to see
that's the thing I'm curious about,
Yeah. But
I'm keen to play that.
Other than good old Mario, I finally finished Remnant from the Ashes.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you've been playing that on stream.
Yeah, so I've been playing that on and off on stream, and I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but...
Twitch.tv/HairyKnees.
So yeah, Twitch.tv/HairyKnees. Follow, like, and subscribe. Give me all your money. But yeah, so Remnant is basically... the way I've been explaining it to people, it's a Souls-like game with guns. Like, that's probably the simplest way to explain it, where... It's structured in the same way where you're trying to get from point A to B. There's enemies between A and B, and there are big bosses to fight. But so I played it the entire thing co-op. So I can't sit here and look you in the eyes and tell you that I know exactly what happened in the story. Because
I played it alone and I don't know what happened in the story.
Okay, so it's not just lost on you, but like we were just there to have a good time and shoot stuff. And from that point of view, I really, really enjoyed this game. Like it scratched that Dark Souls itch. I don't think it was as challenging co-op.
Yeah.
Until we rolled credits, and so the way the game's structured, you can re-roll vaults because
it's all randomly seeded. Yeah,
it's all randomly seeded, and on your playthrough, you might have only seen one of like 4 bosses in an area, for example. So what you do is you re-roll, you like regenerate an area, and you go visit it, and you try and get to that boss. So what we did is we rolled credits. Thought, well, let's go try do some of the bosses we missed, but then we put the difficulty up to hard, and then that to me really improved the game because, like, you know me, I enjoy Bloodborne, Sekiro, those sort of games. And I did think that my only criticism of Remnant was that playing co-op, we were like blitzing through most of those bosses. Like maybe there were 2 or 3 that we were like, oh shit, like how do we do this? But we upped the difficulty, and then all of a sudden, it really felt like we were doing like hard bosses. Like the health bars weren't just melting down. It was a thing of we had to really sit and plan and be like, okay, if the boss does this, just remember to dodge this or do this. Don't forget to pop your heal. Don't forget to do this. Like, we really had to sit and strategize. And I really enjoyed that. Like, that improved the whole experience for me. But I mean, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But I will say that I think a lot of people look at this game and they think, I could maybe enjoy it, but it's Souls-like, and I don't like Souls-like, so I'm just going to bounce off it. Like, don't do that. Play this game. Like, it's really good. And I think it's very accessible. Like, it's challenging. I think if you played it alone, it will be quite difficult, maybe just because I played co-op, it is a lot easier. But I mean, if you're going to play it alone or with friends, I would really recommend it. And it's not expensive. Play it on PC, PS4. I think it's on Xbox as well.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
but it's on Game Pass.
Yeah.
Oh, it's on Game Pass. I mean, you played this game when it came out a while ago.
I played it for review. I played it alone, and I found the beginning a bit rough going, like difficulty wise. But then I eventually got to a point similar to you where I was blazing through it up until the last boss. That last boss is ridiculous.
It took a while to figure out. Yeah,
holy crap! Some of the phases on that boss are just absurd.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, we spent a while trying to kill it because we didn't realize that we made some Yu-Gi-Oh jokes, but like he banishes you to the Shadow Realm. Whatever. Yes. You have to kill enemies in there to sort of get a buff.
Yes.
And you come out and you do extra damage. We didn't know that. It's like
I didn't realize. It actually reminds me of there's a raid in Destiny 2. I can't remember the expansion, which operates with a similar mechanic.
Okay.
But yeah, that was a tricky one for review because I had no idea what was happening. So, and I couldn't Google it, so I had no idea what
something. Yeah,
I'm just like, I'm not doing damage to this guy, and he's just melting me. I'm like very confused. But yeah, I agree with you. Like, if you play on normal, even if you're playing alone, yes, it's difficult and it's got the structure of a Souls-like, but I think it's nowhere near as difficult. Yeah. But you can crank it up to that difficulty that you want. What weapons did you end up settling on?
I think I ran with a shotgun right from the beginning. Because I can't remember what my class name was, but my class was I was actually meant to be like a melee character, but I was like, I'm really enjoying using the guns, and because I have to be close to enemies to get like this damage buff, I'm just going to use the shotgun because it makes sense. I had the shotgun and I used the pistol for a long time, but then eventually I found I had a pistol. I can't remember what it's called, but you get it after killing one of the big bosses. It looks kind of like a bee or like a hive weapon.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And it only has 5 bullets in the chamber, but it does like a nice AoE, and it's got this really cool noise. It's like whoop.
Yeah, it's fantastic. That gun is so good.
I used that. I settled on that in the shotgun for most of the game. So yeah,
I think what's cool is that, I mean, you choose your class at the beginning, but the beginning class you choose only determines your starting weapon. Your classes are completely immutable throughout. Yeah. So. Yeah, it was quite fun, like respecking the whole time when I wanted to.
You get a starting weapon, and I think you get like a core ability.
Yes,
But other than that, I mean, at any point you can buy one of the other classes' abilities or weapons. So it's really just to set you on your path. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's like I'm very keen to go back and just play it for the shits of playing it. It's like, you know,
it's a good game. Yeah,
I think they've introduced. So I know there's DLC. But I think there's like a survival mode game where you basically start out with bare bones weapons, and you have to hold out against waves of enemies, and you upgrade as you go, which is cool. It's like
sort of like a zombie mode.
Yeah, like a horde mode or zombie mode. Which I mean, with that sort of game, like imagine doing that. You get to experience other weapons, and you do it like in a quick manner. You're not grinding out for hours or whatever.
I do think that game gets off to a bit of a rough start. I think the first like biome, the world that you're in, is very bland. Yeah, it's like that very typical. You're in a major city that's apocalyptic and buildings are fucked up and there's vegetation. It's like very boring. But man, the worlds that come after that are just like
very cool.
It was like, am I playing Doom or Quake now? Like that second world is so ridiculous and weird, and it's What's also cool is that it adopts a lot of there's inherently a lot of DNA from FromSoft games. Like, so when I was streaming it, I had someone in chat who knew the game very well, and they were telling me just like tidbits of information, like, oh, if you killed this boss and you shot the bottom half of them instead of the top half, you'd get a different weapon. Yes.
But but then it's like, if you took this quest item to this boss, that gave you this weapon. However, if you took this other quest item to this boss, and it's got a lot of the stuff where it's not explicitly told to the player, but there are people who figured out like, oh, there's this very obscure thing that gives me this weapon or this mod, which is very like that. I mean, you've played Bloodborne, for example, where it's like there's some quests you can read up on. You're like, how did anyone figure that out?
Yeah,
like you have to talk to this person, then go kill this person, then give this item to this person. Like, I don't know. And
you can also miss things like the certain missions. Like if you don't save a certain person in Remnant, like you will not get this weapon or whatever. Yeah.
So they've taken clear inspiration from that, and I think. Look, I agree. The game is very rough. Like it's not a AAA title. Like it's very clear that it's not. But I do think it's worth picking up, and it's it's great with friends. I really enjoy playing it.
I think Gunfire Games could make a sequel to this that is banging. Like it is. Yeah. It's a lot better than I thought it would be, and it's like you say, it's just a lot of fun to play.
I think it surprised a lot of people as well. Like I think many people are playing it. So the guy I was chatting to on my stream, he got it free on Epic, like I did. And
because it was a free game,
yeah, and that's the only reason he played it. And he's like, he's a diehard fan, clearly, because he was just feeding. He was like a talking wiki in my chat, just telling me all this stuff. I was like, damn. And I think they did it strategically because they dropped it for free and there's DLC for it. So
I need to maybe return and play some of the DLC because I haven't played it since launch. So yeah, it's a good game, and it runs really well on PC. I really liked it on PC. So, I have to ask, did you face that moth boss on the bridge?
Yes, and let me tell you that I think even with friends, we struggled on that boss. Like it took a couple of attempts. But I think, so I was playing with John Michael. He said he played that boss in his solo run, and he struggled like big time.
Yeah, I struggled a lot.
I can't imagine fighting it alone because so you start off with one moth, and then there's two moths, and they shoot a whole lot of shit at you, and I don't know how you meant to.
And you're on a very narrow bridge, like you can hardly
fall
move.
off that bridge.
Yeah,
you can roll off that bridge.
that and the last boss were like the real struggle points for me. I was just like, I don't know if I can beat this thing, but yeah, it was. Yeah, so I was curious, like playing that with three people on that tight bridge must have also been a bit challenging. It was
still difficult, yeah.
Yeah, because when that second moth comes into play,
it's
bullshit.
It's a good time though. Really enjoyed it.
Cool. Is that it?
So it's games we've played,
Sweet. Let's us look then at the games that we will play in the future.
With all the time we don't have.
So like you said, Star Wars Squadrons and Crash Bandicoot came out yesterday. Getting October off to a good start. So we're looking at games between October today, so 3rd, to October 9th. And here I've got 5 games.
Whole 5 games? Yeah, Let's see. Games. What are they?
So on October 6th, we've got Baldur's Gate 3 Early Access, finally coming out after numerous delays.
But it wasn't delayed like a long time, because I think it was meant to be September. But
so it was originally August, then they delayed it to September, and then they delayed it a week into beginning of October.
So it's been a couple of...
Yeah. But they're putting out some, I think they're making sure that they launch early access in the state that they want it to be in. I know yesterday they announced like a a new like account system. Like Larian Studios has their own Larian account because they're trying to set up cross saves in the future. So they're trying to onboard people early, onto that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, from what I've seen of the game, Baldur's Gate 3, I've never played 1 and 2, but like this looks like Divinity just with the Larian license.
Steroids.
And it looks ridiculous. Like, the permutations in like combat and dialogue and stuff. It looks really interesting.
I think this is the closest thing. So for people who play like D&D or Pathfinder or whatever, which is just pen and paper role playing, like this is the closest thing you'll get to that, because I think when you play actual pen and paper whatever, you can do whatever the hell you can think of. Like, I want my character to run up a mountain, and you roll for it. I think this game, because it's like it takes heavy inspiration from that, is like you can literally talk to anyone, you can do whatever dialogue choice, you can go wherever, and like it reacts to you. I mean, based on Divinity, like they've already done, Larian Shooters have already done that with those games. And now with the Baldur's Gate license, it's quite something to
they can really expand on it. Yeah, I'm curious to give it a go. I don't know if I like those types of RPGs, but it's enough for me to like try it and see for myself,
Give it
That's
a little
on
bash.
October 8th on PC, PS4, and Xbox One is Ride 4. I guess that's
Right.
motorbikes, I think. Vroom, vroom.
But it's a motorbike, it has to be much higher pitched.
Also on October 8th on PC and Switch is I Am Dead, which I'm actually currently playing for review. It's like a puzzle game that explores
Dead.
themes of death. So that's all I'll say for now.
Okay.
The trailer's really good.
Cool.
Yes.
Cool.
Also on October 8th, PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch is a game called Iconfell. I don't know what this is. So
Iconfell.
Iconfell. I like that name. Oh, wow. This is not what I thought it would be. A turn-based RPG with a tactical twist. Position your party, cost dozen of spells, and use button timing to block attacks. Iconfell's most famous students... It says has, but it should be has? I don't know. Gone missing. Meet a huge cast of colorful and strange characters as the mystery unfolds. So it almost looks like a... let's see...
Like a thingamabob.
Oh, it's like a pixel art game, but you're like a bunch of magical students at a school, and it's like a turn-based thing.
It's Harry Potter game. Cool.
It's got a look of like almost like old school Final Fantasy to it.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Take
Okay.
it.
So that's
Take
out.
it.
And then the last game for this week, October 9th, is FIFA 21. Ole.
Do you like Pele? Do you like football?
Listen, I only play FIFA when like someone comes over and they're like, "Do you want to play FIFA?" And I'm like, oh, "Fine."
I must say, I'm not a FIFA person, but like playing FIFA at the office is a guilty pleasure. It's like,
oh yeah.
you just like, but between work, like, hey, you want to have a quick game, and it's like 10 minutes. You just have a quick game.
That's where I think FIFA is fun. It's just in like that social setting, because like playing it alone or playing its whatever campaign, it's just like no.
Oh, fam.
I'm good. I'm good, homie. So yeah.
Good.
So that's it for this week, man. I keep going through this list. At the end of this list, there's games without dates, and it says 2021 and beyond, and that list is huge.
Bonkers.
It is absolutely ridiculous how many games are coming out next year still.
Last year was, look, the last 3 years of games have been pretty damn solid, okay? But I think next year with the new gen, it's going to be quite a toss-up of holy shit.
And so many games that were meant to come out this year being pushed to next year. I'm just looking through, there's like bangers everywhere here. It's really something.
It's a good time.
Resident Evil Village.
Ooh, interesting. Village. Okay, shall we do some of that sweet gaming news?
Sweet gaming news, yeah. So no big acquisitions this year. I mean, this week.
this week. No big acquisitions in the last 144 hours. You can confirm.
Yeah, I mean, geez, no big next gen console news during this week as well. So it's like can actually breathe this week. So
some news.
Firstly, season 2 of Fall Guys drops this coming week.
That's exciting.
It's landing on October 8th. They showed it off briefly at the Gamescom thing with Jeff Keighley. It's inspired by the Middle Ages. So you've got things like drawbridges and giant swinging axes and siege ramps and I guess the different look to Big Yeetus. And then obviously costumes that are like knights and Vikings and wizards and all that stuff. So it looks cool. That's enough for me to hop back in and be like, because I haven't played Fall Guys in a while. So
yeah. I mean, I've not stopped playing it. I put a couple of hours in every week, and it's a good time. It's really that game. That game has been one of my biggest surprises this year. As well.
Definitely, yeah. This year it's up there as like the game that took and also like grabbed the cultural like conversation for a very longer than I expected actually. So yeah. There's a new character coming to Smash.
Oh, good lord. Who do you think it is?
He's from Minecraft.
He's blocky. That's right, it's Steve.
It's Steve from Minecraft. Hey.
I laughed because to me, I just imagine being Sakurai. Okay, you open up your emails on any given day and it's just thousands of requests like, hey man, could you put in, I don't know, like some Mario character, whatever, some Nintendo franchise character or someone from that sort of, library of characters. Yeah. And he just closed all of them and said, you know what? Oh, here's an email from my man, Phil Spencer. Oh, okay, dude.
We're just going to pop this guy in there.
You want Steve in there. Cool, man. Who got it? Got you, fam. Look, all jokes aside, I think it makes sense to have Minecraft Steve in there. I mean, Minecraft is like its own beast.
Yeah.
It's got... Yeah. Like it came out like 10 years ago, maybe more, maybe less. I don't know. And it's still
more now. I actually can't remember like when the Java version versus the Windows version versus all of that shit.
That game just has millions upon millions of people still playing it on every platform, from PC to Switch to mobile. So like, why not? Like, Minecraft Steve is a very iconic character, and I think from the little that they've shown, they're going to have that signature Smash where like they contextualize things from Minecraft in this fighting game, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Apparently, Minecraft Steve has been... Well, Nintendo's been talking about adding Steve to Smash for 5 years.
Yeah, look, it's funny because when I was trying to find the trailer, the reveal trailer, so the direct happened, and I was like, oh, okay, it's Steve, but like I only saw half the trailer. Let me go look it up on YouTube. There were fan mock trailers from like 2012, 2013.
Oh, hectic.
Yeah, so like fans have been, well, not all fans, but a lot of people have been like, please bring us Minecraft Steve,
Give us Steve. There's a GIF that came out of there where it's just like I don't know if it's the creeper, but it's the like black version of like the bad guy. I don't know.
It's terrifying.
And he's just peering into the box where Snake is, and it's like, your Snake is fucked.
I saw that. Yeah, Snake
is dead.
I think, is that Enderman? I don't know.
I don't know the name, but it made me laugh. It gave me the giggle.
Gave you a good lol.
Gave me a good lol, yeah. So yeah, that's Smash.
That happened.
That happened in Smash.
You want to talk about the new Peter Parker?
Oh right, yeah, that happened.
And Spider-Man.
I almost forgot about that.
Weird. Like, look. So just quick overview. The Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man on PS4 is coming to PS5 as a remaster, and
which you can't buy on its own. You can only buy it through Miles Morales, which is.
I mean, that's a story in itself. But they recast the Peter Parker model character, so the model in game looks completely different. It's not even remotely similar.
He looks like Tom Holland. Like,
he looks so much like Tom Holland.
Like Insomniac came out and said, because they've kept the same voice actor, Yuri Lowenthal, and they were basically like, for the next gen, we wanted to, up the connection between the voice capture and the motion capture. So Yuri Lowenthal obviously isn't the model for the in-game Peter Parker because he's much older than the character is meant to be. Yeah. And Insomniac is basically saying that they're they ran into some issues to increase the fidelity of the motion capture going forward with what they had. So they just recast the actor because he better matched the facial movements, better matched Yuri Lowenthal's. So the audio seems like it's coming through a bit better. But
yeah.
I mean,
this dude looks a lot like Tom Holland.
He looks a lot like Tom Holland. Like, I'm not even like, and considering Sony, is behind this as well, I don't put it past them to be like, man, we should make this guy look sort of more like, the kid who's portraying Spider-Man in the movies. So
yeah. Well, I think that's what. Look, I don't care that he looks like Tom Holland. Like, whatever.
No, not at all. But I dig Tom Holland. He's cool.
Yeah. But just the fact that the Peter Parker you're playing in this game is like mid-20s. And like the Peter Parker we had in the PS4 game looked the part. This Tom Holland dude, like Tom Holland in the MCU is meant to be like in high school. And he looks it. Like Tom Holland does look like he came out of high school,
Yeah.
Like he's a young actor. It's just weird looking at the remastered trailer. It's like, this is a 16-year-old like busy doing shit in a science lab coat. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that is the thing that sticks out for me. Like, I understand the reasoning, and I don't have such a huge attachment to the previous model of Peter Parker, but it's just, it really does look out of place. Like, he looks too young. And I think that's really going to be driven home when you get the scenes between Peter and MJ, who the model hasn't changed. So MJ still looks like mid-20s, and now
MJ's a cradle snatcher.
Yeah, it's like she could be his babysitter. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's, I get it, but I think it will take some adjusting to. That said, that they did show off 60 frame per second gameplay of the remaster with all new, they've got like assets and ray tracing, and thing looks pretty slick.
It looks really good. Yeah. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Very excited for the remaster. It's just that they've explained that change, but it looks so jarring to me.
Yeah,
look, we'll get over it. With the next
Yeah.
Spider-Man, it'll just be what it is.
It just caught me off guard because I watched the trailer as soon as it came out, and when I saw Peter, I was like, something feels off about him. Like, I'm just like, I played this game like a year and a bit, and I was just like, something feels wrong. And then I saw people going like, whoa, he's different. I was like, okay, it's not just me then. It's not like I've forgotten what this actor looked like.
Yeah, that's so
yeah. Anyway, Cyberpunk 2077.
Doing some good old crunch.
Yep. The games industry is the games industry, and crunch, like most software development jobs, crunch seemingly is inevitable. I mean, I'm in that industry. I can tell you that crunch is definitely a result of poor management in most cases. But in some cases it is somewhat unavoidable because of the nature of software, especially I think with games, because that's more of an artistic means of software development. But listen, I've spoken to Neelan, our friend who works at Naughty Dog, and we had some interesting conversations about, crunch, because Naughty Dog, obviously, they got a lot of flack for crunch on Uncharted 4 and The Last of Us 2. And the way it's reported is very black and white in a way. It's like, yes, crunch is bad.
Yeah.
Crunch is definitely bad. It can seriously affect your mental health, your physical health, relationships, everything, especially when it's mandated by the studios, which it very, studios will come in and say, we don't force it. They do.
Even if they don't, like, in terms of just office culture, like,
yes.
Can you imagine you chilling at home on the weekend and all your other colleagues at the office, they're going to, hate you.
They'll hate you, and you will likely be passed up for contract renewals. So, like,
exactly,
it's like, you don't have to crunch, but start looking for a new job type of thing. So, but at the same time, in my experience, there are ways to manage crunch. Like, you will have instances where maybe you'll be crunching for a few weeks at a time, but then a good company or a good manager will understand that you need adequate rest. So you will get additional days off that you can take immediately after the crunch period, some sort of compensation that is in line with the toll that the crunch takes physically on yourself, not just from a financial standpoint.
Yeah.
And that, from my discussions with Neelan, is kind of how Naughty Dog has handled it. He's always said, yes, we do have crunch, but he's never spoken about it to me in a way that seems like Naughty Dog doesn't give them the time to recuperate afterwards. Obviously, that works for some people, and for some people it doesn't.
It doesn't, yeah.
And a good manager will be able to manage both of those scenarios, So going back to Cyberpunk, basically the studio says that they are doing mandatory crunch, basically six-day weeks leading up to launch as they get this game ready to get out the door. Reporter Jason Schreier says that it's not actually just this period, that some developers have been crunching for over a year now, which is well beyond the...
That's wild.
Yeah, crunch should be at most like a month, in my view. I mean, I've crunched for a month and I feel like I want to die afterwards. So a year just sounds like it is doing irreparable harm to you in some way.
Yeah.
Whether you manage it, whether you deal with the stress a bit better or not, I think in some way or another you are being damaged for a video game. So I'm not happy to hear about that. But because the studio is in Poland, the developers are being financially compensated because it is written into their labor law that you have to be.
Yeah.
Which is, I will tell you, a very, very, very big exception to how it works elsewhere. I don't get paid overtime. For any overtime I do. Software
likewise.
Developers in general do not get paid overtime. In America, they definitely do not. But again, like studios on an individual basis can incentivize people financially, based on how they decide to manage crunch. But it is more the exception than the rule. So, it's a weird thing. It's like, yes, they're being compensated. Yes, it's 6-day weeks, so they're still getting 1 day off, but it is mandatory. So that developers don't really have a choice.
Don't have a choice, yeah.
And if it's really affecting them from a physical and mental standpoint, like they don't have, a way to get out of that. So, yeah, I think basically what I'm trying to say is like crunch isn't as black and white as a lot of reporting leads you to believe. And that I've come to learn over time, because I used to think it was very black and white. But I think there should be better standards industry-wide on how it's managed post and, pre-crunch periods, and what sort of compensation there is. And that is something that will take a long time to kind of like worm its way in, because studios do often just force people to crunch for months on end, and you're going from one crunch period to another. It's just never ending, and that is more the norm than you think it is. So yeah.
Well, look, on that, so I do agree with you that like crunch isn't just black and white. I mean, and this is a good example of, like you've just said, Cyberpunk is still like it's coming out in November. It's the final stretch. They're not working 7-day weeks. Like they still have a day off, which is still like cool. That's okay, and they are being financially compensated. But like that is the exception. Like not a lot of people have that luxury. And I think just from my experience, like, well, not my experience, but one thing that really stood out to me with Naughty Dog, for example, you mentioned Neelan. I mean, we had him on the podcast in December. He was visiting South Africa. And let's just remember, The Last of Us 2 is out, due in April.
Yeah.
Was it April, May? And we were like, that's weird. Like, this is surely the time you would crunch.
Well, at that point, when he was visiting us, it was still coming out in February. It hadn't been delayed yet.
Yes, that's true, yeah. Okay, so we're like, but surely this is like your crunch time. And he was like, no, the whole studio is closed for like 2 weeks because it's Christmas. And I was like, that's kind of interesting, because I don't think a lot of studios would do that. So like there's a lot of nuance between different studios and how they manage it. And that to me, I was like, oh, like I know you guys have to work hard, but they actually gave you guys leave despite the game coming out in like 2-3 months, which is quite random.
Yeah, I was also shocked at that time, because I'd seen him that year, or it was last year. I'd seen him in June, and in June he was telling me at the time then they were like aiming to be wrapped up with most work before the December holidays so that they, would be set for February when it was meant to launch. And so many things can change between then and December. So the fact that he was still able to travel, I mean, I assume maybe some people were still doing some work
some
on
people
then.
probably stayed, yeah.
But I'm 100% with you. I would have thought, especially when at that point the studio must have known that February wasn't going to be feasible.
It's not going to be a thing.
So for again, this is where it becomes touchy. It's like we are praising a studio for just granting leave to an employee, which is a employment right. Like that's what it is. But I know from his standpoint and from mine that sometimes taking leave when you want is a very difficult thing when software is completely, in flux and needs hands-on at all times. So, I don't know. Again, I think what you're saying is right. There just needs to be a bit more nuance in the conversations we have about crunch. And yes, it is a bad thing that studios should always try to avoid. Because at the end of the day, if you can avoid it, that is the best case scenario. But I think in the cases, as we work to that future, or as we start realizing the effects it has on employees, companies or employees should force better rules around what the crunch is, like how long periods can go on for at a time, what you're compensated for, and that should be in sort of like employment contracts to me.
Yeah.
Or as it is in Poland, just, governed by actual fucking labor law. Like governments should not allow companies to do this.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. No game is worth the mental health of its employees, and that's it. That's all.
Yeah.
That's my opinion on the entire thing.
But they crunching. I think just last thing on this, I think why it's such a big deal is that they came out last year. I think they said, CD Projekt Red said that there won't be crunch for Cyberpunk, and they've since doubled back. And look, in their defense, like I will never say crunch is a good thing, but like COVID did happen.
Yeah.
And like it's a reality. It's completely unexpected. And I mean, I don't know if it's a thing that they can hide behind, but like, listen, a lot of people did not plan for this. No one planned for it. So
I think a studio coming out and acknowledging that crunch is bad and saying that they are looking at ways to try and never do it again is a very good first step.
Yeah.
Because that again is the exception. I can't name another studio that has come out and said we aren't doing that, but I can name multiple studios who've come out and defended crunch. Yeah. So I'll give CD Projekt Red props for that, but it is something that needs to be fixed.
Look, it's not right by any means, but it's just
And again, I don't think it's something that will go away. Anyone who works in software development, this is part of the industry, and I hate it. And the more I start realizing it, I wonder if I made the right decision going into software development. But I've definitely already found instances where it is managed better in some places than others, and I guess you just need to look for the places that
right place,
that acknowledge that you are a human and that you have limitations physically and mentally, and if companies can work around that, then it's fine.
I mean, I think that doesn't even just apply to software development. I can tell you, I mean, I'm at an agency now, and my company are very good at not doing overtime. Like, look, overtime does happen every now and then purely because sometimes you can't predict certain things. But I've heard horror stories from people who have joined the agency, people who I work with, saying like, oh, their previous agency, it was very common to just be called in on a Saturday and just work the whole weekend for no compensation. And I can tell you, I've not worked a single weekend, for example. And I work like a half an hour to an hour overtime here and there, but it's really like it's managed completely in a way that I know a lot of other agencies don't do. And I'm just very lucky to be at a company where the two founders are very strict about we don't want to push this culture of like pushing yourself till you die.
But you see, that's what it is, and it's
an exception.
It's there are those companies out there, and I'm not, the thing that irritates me the most is whenever there's these stories like this, people just go, we'll just find another job. It's like, the world doesn't work like that. Especially now in a year where there's a pandemic and like, everyone's losing their jobs. Like, the world just doesn't work like that.
No.
So, like, yes, you should fight for better rights within your company. And if you can't, and it's not working for you, at the end of the day, you need to make a change that makes sense to you. But if this is a systemic problem across the industry, what are you going to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you've dedicated your life to this craft. You can't go anywhere where it's just a problem. So it should be called out, and it's good that it is being called out. But I also acknowledge that the way it's being called out is very black and white now, and lacks a lot of the nuance, around these issues. And if they're ever going to be, conversations to actually get to a point where things are like put in place on an industry-wide basis, there needs to be more nuanced conversations around what crunch is. So, yeah.
Well, that's that. That's our
that.
crunch hour. Hour conversation.
Crunch hour conversation.
Some quick news before we fly off to questions. Farmville finally dies in 2020.
Oh, right. Yeah, that happened this week. Damn.
I can't believe that. I'm like, what? It's not a thing of like, of course Farmville still exists, but I just assume that it's still printing money, like to some degree.
I don't think I've ever played Farmville.
I've never played Farmville. I can tell you Lenska played Farmville.
on Facebook.
She didn't. No. She played something else, but it's very similar to Farmville.
Yeah, I feel like there were so many games that were similar to Farmville that just cropped out. It's sort of like you've got Candy Crush on iPhone, but there's so many other match 3 games that are very similar to it. So
that's dead. Can you believe it?
Pour one out. End of an era. Just quickly, new games coming to Game Pass soon. We've got Double Fine's Brutal Legend coming to console, which I've actually never played. So
I've also never played it.
Yeah, I should play that. Coming to Android, because so Android in this case means xCloud, obviously.
Yeah.
So coming to Android and console is Doom Eternal on October 1st, which is already passed. So
that is pretty massive.
A game that I thought was already on Game Pass, but Forza Motorsport 7 is coming to Android, console, and PC. I honestly thought that was on Game Pass already.
There are actually a couple of exceptions to the first party
rule, yeah.
If that makes sense. Like, so I can tell you, okay, it's not first party, but I know, for example, Cuphead is just not on Game Pass. Which
it's not owned by Microsoft.
Makes no sense.
That's the difference.
I know, but to me, it's such a weird thing because like I so closely associate that game to Xbox. Maybe just because that's where it's been shown, whatever. And I think I could be wrong, but I don't. Sunset Overdrive might be on now. I don't think it was for a long time.
It is because
is it?
Yeah, for a while. The IP was owned by Microsoft, but now it's reverted back to Insomniac. But I think there's some deal. And it's on Game Pass, yeah.
Quantum Break, I don't think is there. Because that's a game I'd actually like to play. And
Quantum Break is on Game Pass. It definitely is, yeah.
I must check. Maybe
Microsoft owns that IP, yeah.
But maybe it's console only, because I've just never seen it on my library.
There's a lot that is only on console.
Yeah,
so there's a difference there. Yeah, especially when it comes to exclusive content. But I definitely know Quantum Break is on there for console at least.
Okay. Well, do you know that, so for the longest time, Xbox Game Pass on PC has been in beta. So locally, it's been 50 Rand a month. And I've just at the back of my mind been thinking like, well, when it comes out of beta, it's probably going to jump to 150 Rand or so. Yeah. It's not. It's 100 Rand a month. It's coming out of beta. And that's still like, it's a steal. Even at 150 Rand, like it's a no-brainer.
I think 150 is what Ultimate costs.
Ultimate
locally.
Is, yeah.
Yeah.
100 Rand a month for like, for example, Doom Eternal. That's just like, it's insane. So,
no, it's still mad value, like crazy good value. So last 2 games coming to Game Pass. Iconfell, that one we spoke about earlier, and one coming to PC, Drake Hollow. It's a new like sort of like survival game from the developers of The Flame and the Flood. It looks pretty cool.
Oh, okay. That's cool. I enjoyed The Flame and the Flood.
It's something we could play co-op. Maybe it looks like a lot of fun.
Co-op.
There's not much else news-wise that's super interesting. Torchlight 3 is coming out officially at the end of October.
Cool. I enjoyed Torchlight 2.
EA Play is being added to Xbox Game Pass on the 10th of November. That will be for console first. It will come to the PC Games Pass as well eventually.
But that's still pretty insane value just being added for no extra cost.
Yeah.
I know that a whole lot of media got hands-on with Xbox Series X. And the impressions have been very positive thus far.
Yes.
But now people are like, hey, Sony, like, when are you showing us your console? Like, when are you letting people actually play with your console?
Yeah, so Sony's communication around new consoles is starting to get on my nerves a little bit.
So it's so bad, and look, we've beat this horse to death many times, but it's a thing of like Sony are making all the wrong moves. It feels like, and Xbox are just like every time they're in the news, it's like a positive thing. Like, wow, can you believe this? Xbox are like, yay, plays being added to Xbox Game Pass. Backwards compatibility. Here's the Xbox Series X and early impressions. Like, it just feels like they're getting their whole PR angle very right at the start of this generation.
Yeah, they've drip fed information so that it's always like at the top of your mind. Like, oh, Series X this, Series X that. So, I mean, what media got to show off wasn't like they don't have any next gen games yet because obviously those are still currently in development. But like, just showing the loading time differences and how seamless backwards compatibility works and like the main menu of the console, stuff like that, stuff that still don't really know, even from Sony's perspective, we still don't know what games are like backwards compatible, how they work. All we keep hearing about is like this incompatibility with saves, like Dirt 5 and Yakuza Like a Dragon.
It's just a disaster.
Both of them offer next gen, free PS4 to PS5 upgrades, but you cannot bring your save. Even Spider-Man Remaster, Miles Morales supports a save transfer from PS4 to PS5, but the Spider-Man Remaster doesn't. It's like, why?
Just
like,
because, man.
I just want Sony to explain why. What is the problem? Like, what is the limitation here that seemingly they are running into and other developers are running into? Whereas Microsoft is just like, yeah, it works. Like, you had this game on Xbox, just works. Like, that's it. So
I don't know, man.
It's
PlayStation
a weird
playing
time.
games at you.
But again, in a week, it could completely change because it just takes them, dropping some information that completely clears up the situation. And then we, next week we're talking about, oh yeah, and it's actually fine, but they just aren't communicating in a manner that allows people to have those conversations, and it's just annoying. So,
just pain.
Should we get to questions?
That's news though, yeah.
If you want to send us questions, you can email us, checkpointchatpodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on social media at Checkpoint Chat on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. Send us messages anytime there. I know
the places.
Friend of the show, Best to Bash, sent an email way early this week.
I did see that.
Here it is,
that question. You want to read it? Because I think this is addressed at you.
It's the only email question we have.
Yeah.
As far as I can tell.
That is correct.
Keegan Bester Bash says young Skymarker, like Schumacher, but I mean Padawan Mick Shoewalker. Mick Schumacher and Callum Ilott and actually Robert Schwartzman are going to be driving in the big boy cars in free practice 1 at the Nürburgring. This track hasn't been used very recently, so why would Alpha and Haas give up a spot in free practice 1 for some young blood to take their cars out? Any expectations or hopes and dreams for the silly season? So the reason being is that Alpha and Haas are customer teams for Ferrari. So Ferrari supplies them their engines, so they have somewhat of a say in this sort of like decision. And Mick Schumacher, Callum Ilott, and Robert Schwartzman are all Ferrari development drivers. So right now, I think they're trying to determine whether they bring one of them or two of them over to Formula One next year. And for that, they need to kind of see their performance in an actual like free practice. So yeah, I think at the very least, Mick Schumacher, who is Michael Schumacher's son, will come over to Formula One because he's currently leading the Formula 2 championship and he's just like really, really good. So I see him definitely taking a seat at Alpha next year because Kimi Räikkönen is leaving. So yeah, that's your
How old is Kimi
F1
Räikkönen?
chat for the week.
Just a matter of interest.
What? Sorry?
How old is Kimi Räikkönen?
He's 40 years old. He's the most experienced Formula One driver in history. He's raced the most races.
That's not what you're going to say is the most racist.
No. Well, I don't know him personally. He might be. Who knows?
I mean, that is quite an age to be driving cars at that speed.
Yeah. And he still loves it. I think he's just, like there's no reason to keep him in Formula One. Now, I don't doubt he'll carry on racing in like Le Mans or maybe even rally, because the Finns do a lot of rally. So
yeah. Cool. Keeping in Formula One, we have a question on Instagram from Cello. It says, what are your Formula One predictions? And tell a fun Formula One memory or story you have.
Listen, I nearly got it right last week. I got the top 3 right, just in the wrong order. So I'm getting there.
Of course. You're getting there. This is your week.
Well, there's no reason to predict the races next weekend. So I can give them next weekend. Why are you doing
this, Cello?
Tell us. There's no race this week. The Nürburgring is next weekend, and I'll wait till free practice to see what's happening. There.
Okay.
Fuck you, Chilla.
Tell us wow. Tell us a fun Formula One story. Any story that relates to Formula One?
A fun Formula One story. Oh, I have a story. When I was quite small, I used to watch Formula One back when I was small, like with my dad, and I was a big Michael Schumacher fan, obviously. And I distinctly remember one of the most iconic races he was part of was where it was the last race of the season. It was the European Grand Prix, and he needed to finish ahead of Jacques Villeneuve to win the championship. But if both of them didn't finish, then Schumacher would still be the champion. So there's this very, very iconic incident where it definitely looks like Michael Schumacher tries to run Villeneuve off the road, and he ends up running himself off the road, and Villeneuve goes on to win and become the champion. And I distinctly remember that moment, like watching it as a kid and seeing Schumacher crash and being like, oh, the other Ferrari will beat the other guy now. And I'm just like, no, you sweet summer child.
Looking back now, like, Schumacher, what are you doing?
Looking back now, I'm like, man, Schumacher, kind of a villain, kind of a heel. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Great driver, and definitely, every driver does what they need to win, but that was a 100% like wrestling heel turn moment in his career.
Just on that, I find it so interesting that his son is now in that world, and I just think like, it's funny to think like so you said he's leading the Formula 2 championship now. But is that like a product of just really good genetics? Like he's got good reaction times and reflexes, or the fact that he's just born into that world and he probably was racing from a very young age?
I think he was racing, from the age 3, if anything. Yeah. So it is really interesting listening to Mick Schumacher talk in interviews, because you can definitely tell he is, Schumacher's son. And in a way, it's kind of touching, because Michael Schumacher's still in that coma, no one really knows really what's happening with his health. So yeah, it's quite sad that is probably going to be the end of his legacy. But it is what it is.
10 years time though, Jacques Villeneuve's son also racing. Mick Schumacher tries to run him off the road, crash.
Oh my god.
A baby Alessandro like, the other Ferrari can win.
Fuck you.
The history repeated.
Get out of here.
Okay, we've got 2 more questions from Cello. Would you rather's, which he actually sent last week after recorded, so I've gone back to them.
Yes, this week source.
He said, would you rather have constantly dry eyes or a runny nose?
Oh, good lord, that's hard.
See, now, this is an awful would you rather, because those are both shit.
Those are both
Let's just
terrible.
Call a spade a spade. Those are awful things to choose between.
Jesus,
I can tell you now. Having a runny nose is the most frustrating thing, because you have to constantly blow your nose or sniff.
You know where it's annoying is when you're trying to sleep and you got a runny nose. God. Oh my lord! Have you ever woken up? It used to happen a lot as a child, but when I had a runny nose, you wake up and it's like gone crusty all around like your nostril. It's horrible. I hated it.
I hate it. I think I'm going for dry eyes, because what's the worst that happens? Your eyes are red. They may be a bit itchy, but
I don't know. Playing games with constantly dry eyes, though.
I mean, playing games does dry my eyes out.
That's
already,
that's legitimately painful. Like, and dry, like I don't know to what extent dry eyes is, because I've often had dry eyes where I've had to put like eye drops in them just to soothe them because they're so painful. So, but then if you're trying to play games and your nose is constantly running,
you gotta keep rubbing with your sleeve, man. And that's just gross.
Shut up. I'm gonna go with runny nose. Because dry eyes is just one of the worst things in the world.
I'm taking dry eyes because I must say, like, when my eyes get dry, they don't really feel sore. I'm just like, oh, they're a bit itchy.
Okay, but what if they felt like the fucking Sahara Desert?
I mean, then I just have to spray some water in my eyes.
I love how your reaction is just like, I mean, and you're like thinking of all the ways you can get around this.
I don't know. A runny nose, I hate it. You know why?
I hate it as well.
If you ask me this question in like 3 months, I'd maybe say, like, I'd rather have the runny nose. But the state of my current existence is that, look, we've had some rain this week, thank goodness. Okay, but this time of year in Joburg, in September, when you're waiting for the first summer rains, is the absolute worst for me because it's very windy. There's so much dust and pollen in the air, and my hay fever. Look, last year wasn't bad, but this year, for some reason, I've had it real bad, and I'm just permanently blowing my nose, and I hate it. And the worst is like, I'll go blow my nose, but because I've blown my nose gets itchy. I sneeze, my nose runs, and I have to repeat that cycle for infinity,
forever,
until it rains. So
I will say the like dry eyes is much easier to cope with in like a social setting. Like if you got a runny nose and you're like at the movies, then everyone is hearing you like sniffing or something, or like you're working from home and your partner just wants to divorce you.
Lensk and I have a mutual agreement. So like I'll often turn to be like, listen, I'm really sorry I'm sniffing, but if I go blow my nose, I'm just going to sneeze and it's never going to go away. This is the compromise. I'm sorry. So she hasn't divorced me. So
not yet.
Not yet. Things are looking good. Okay, last question. Would you rather have super sensitive taste or super sensitive hearing? Taste.
The taste could be a double-edged sword, hey?
It could, but the hearing, can you imagine sleeping? Okay, here's my case. You're sleeping. It's a hot summer's night. There's a mosquito on the other side of the house.
Okay, you swayed me.
There's a mosquito on the other side of the neighborhood, but you can hear that.
You've swayed me.
And all the other mosquitoes.
I mean, if you had super sensitive hearing, you'd have to get one of those like submerged beds like Daredevil in that one film. Like where he sleeps in a coffin of water, essentially.
He doesn't hear a thing. That's so funny.
The thing with super sensitive taste, maybe you like eat your favorite food and you realize that it actually tastes like garbage.
I don't know. Like the way I interpret it is if it tastes good, but you've got super sensitive taste, it tastes even better. So if you're eating
that would
something
be a good
awful,
scenario.
If you're eating something awful, yeah, okay. But you just have to choose to eat only burgers and delicious things for the rest of your life.
Imagine how bad cauliflower will taste, because cauliflower is trash already. So
some veggies I'll eat because I'm like, I don't particularly get up in the morning and go, ooh, Brussels sprouts. Like,
Brussels sprouts are good. Oh my god!
Get out of here with your trash opinion.
You fry them up with some butter. Oh, so good.
But like for example, like I'll eat them because I'm like, it's not that bad tasting, but it's not my favorite. Now, if I've got super sensitive tastes and I have to eat Brussels sprouts, I'd rather just throw them in the bin. And that's fair. Nutrition. So
for me,
where's your butter argument now?
For me, imagine. I mean, I hate coriander. So super sensitive taste of coriander might actually kill me.
Get out of here with that trash, please.
Yeah, coriander or you know what I also hate, which some people seem to look at me weirdly for, is English mustard. All other mustard, fine. German mustard, French mustard. English mustard it's got that like bitterness, or it ruins the dish for me. It's trash.
I think, look, if it's not my favorite thing. If you have a little bit of it, it's fine. But if you have too much, then I'm with you. I'm like, oh, it's got such a.
I'll never forget one of the after Rage. Remember, we used to always go to Hog's Head nearby, and one of the burgers there, I ordered it, and it was slathered with English mustard, and I was just like, fuck's sake.
I had that once at was it Volvatello, I think. I also ordered a I don't know, chicken burger or something, and for some reason I was like, I read on the menu like it's got some English mustard. I was like, that's fine, but I bit into this thing. I was like, this thing is like drowning in this mustard. And I don't know if I enjoy that.
It's gross. English mustard is gross. All other mustard, perfect. German mustard, the best. Not even
Delicious.
a question.
Good Lord. Yeah, but that's that then, I guess. We're going for super sensitive taste, and that is all the questions we have.
Is that all
today.
the questions?
That is all the questions. Nothing else email, nothing on Facebook, nothing on Twitter.
Okay, well, if
quite well.
you want to send us more questions like what your favorite mustard is or favorite condiments are next week, you can email us checkpointchatpodcast@gmail.com or message us angrily on all our social platforms at checkpointchat. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, anyway.
All of the places.
Come here with your trash mustard opinions.
Come here, tell every Brussels sprouts are delicious.
They are good. They are good.
Leave.
Cauliflower, trash. If you come into our emails and be like, cauliflower's fine with cheese sauce. No, you like cheese sauce. You don't like cauliflower. You like cheese sauce.
Let me tell you.
If you only eat broccoli with cheese sauce, you don't like broccoli. You like cheese sauce.
Lenska's parents make a fabulous cheese sauce.
Listen,
and we put that shit on everything. It's so good.
There's nothing wrong with cauliflower. Oh, there's nothing wrong with broccoli and cheese sauce. But I like broccoli by itself as well. Like, there's a difference. If you just like broccoli when it's slathered in cheese sauce, you don't like broccoli.
You don't like broccoli. Okay, I'm with you there.
My mom makes a really good... She grills or sautés broccoli with orange zest and peanuts. Real fucking good. Oh my God.
That sounds like an interesting combination that somehow works.
Real good. Real good. You should try that.
Yeah. Damn it. Now I'm hungry.
Broccoli makes me feel like I'm eating baby trees. It's very good.
I just imagine you sitting at the dinner table and I go,
just like picking it up by the stem and just taking one big bite. Yeah.
Do you make the broccoli have screaming noises? Don't eat me.
Yes, definitely. I am a child still.
Good Lord.
That's episode 100 and... Oh, no, my watch series coming live. That's episode 119. Checkpoint Chat.
I hope that you guys are actually listening to this. We might have to trash this episode if the sound doesn't come out, but
that'll be awkward. Guess we'll see. Well, if you're hearing this now, you know that it's fine. So, hooray!
Well, if it's not fine that it's possible, please forgive us. Microphones and hardware being absolute assholes.
A pat on the back.
Yeah. That goes to you for all your hard editing work.
Thank you so much, as always, for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening, guys. And this is where I say goodbye to you and our new pal, Craig, recording the episode on the internet. This is the future.
The new Otter Craig, the bot recording for us on Discord, saved our life. Maybe.
Yeah, fun fact, we have our own Discord now.
But no one can join it.
We had to make one to record the...
I had to create a whole Discord just to get this bot working. My God.
That's so funny. Yeah.
But thank you so much for listening. As always, we'll be back next week. Have a good week. Goodbye.
Yeah. Goodbye.